Let's make some noise. Come on.
Yes, indeedy, Nick Foles. Thank you very much. Yes, let's make some noise. And welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Your final word of your Philadelphia Sports Day with your boy MattyB on the call. And you may have remembered me from such programs as the Fighting's Final, which was on about 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago to recap the game that occurred 18 hours before that, as we're getting used to the West Coast trip. That's what happens on the last West Coast trip of the season. You just start losing all perspective. But I got the Fighting's Final in. Now I'm back to this show tonight. We are here to discuss your final word in your Philly Sports Day. And, of course, that final word is centered around two of the four major sports teams in the town right now making news, and that is your Phillies, your 2025 NL East champion Philadelphia Phillies, and your 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles, who are off to a successful title defense as they have gone 2-0 the first two games. But there are some things to discuss, and there are some concerns about this football team that we're definitely going to unearth as we continue to break down the Chiefs game before we turn the page on the Rams. And we'll get into some of those concerns and issues tonight. The Flyers are in making news, as I believe camp opens today. I don't really know. Soon. Danny B spoke to the assembled media today and said that every Flyer fan should feel, and every Flyer management person associated with the team should feel a little uneasy about the way things have gone over the last couple seasons, especially not making the playoffs for 5 years. We could scratch the surface if you like on the Flyers. Probably won't, but we could if you want to. If you want to bring it up, we'll bring it up. Well, of course, we got our Day in Philadelphia sports history, and our card review. No of the night segment tonight, as I am fresh out of all of the night topics until we hit October. So all of that wrapped up in a pretty bow, and a couple of special announcements that I just broke on social media not long ago, like literally 5 minutes ago, that we'll get into here momentarily as well. So all those things and a bag of chips on the program, on the network, on this beautiful Tuesday night. And before I roll on to what we got to do, let me remind you that the It's a Wrap Sports Network is brought to you by the show is brought to you by the It's a Wrap Sports Network, such creators and purveyors of such programming as you can see here, to include two new shows. That's right. Alert, alert, alert. We got two new shows coming to the network. One of them is going to start tomorrow. The other one will go on Thursday. And we're super excited about that. Just got the word not long ago that was a go, and we were going to go forward with them. So we'll talk about those momentarily. But tonight on the program or on the network, you got the final word with me, and then just underway in Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles, the Phillies will battle the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani versus Chris Sanchez. Game 2 of a 3-game set. Does it carry any weight to you now that the Phillies have clinched? Are you one of those people that are looking for that number 1 overall seed? Because then that's you should be interested in this game. A little programming note: I just got word that we're going to do the Fighting's Final tomorrow around 3 p.m. Steve Fuentes asked me if it was okay. How can I say no after I decide to do it at 7 p.m.? So I opened up Pandora's box there, but Steve will come at you tomorrow afternoon around 3 p.m. for the Fighting's Final. So for those of you that were waiting, that we're going to stay up to 2 in the morning to catch Steve's insight and, smart way that he does things, well, you can get to bed after you listen to me, because Steve will not be coming at you until about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But I'll be back tomorrow night at the regularly scheduled midnight hour or so to do the Fighting's Final, as we'll wrap up the Dodger series. And just for all you It's a Wrap Sports show personalities out there that might be listening, no more shifting Fighting's Finals till the afternoon or the day or the night after. All right. I'm stopping that. I don't want that thing to catch fire. All right. I know I started it, but I'm putting an end to it. But Steve Fuentes is going to come at you tomorrow with some Fighting's Final in the afternoon, which I totally get. But welcome back to the program, Ricky. How are you doing? Good to see you tonight, Ricky Deal. It's always a pleasure to see you. So let's get it rolling. Let's strap it in, strap it on, strap it up, and keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times for your day in Philadelphia sports history. In 1960, we go back to this fun-filled fact. On this day in 1960, a very embarrassing Philadelphia sports fact. The Phillies were no-hit for the second time on the 60 season. And the second time in less than a month after they were no-hit the first time by the same team. The Milwaukee Brewers and their hurler, Len Burdette, threw the first no-hitter in a 1-0 blanking of the Phils on August the 18th, while 39-year-old Warren Spahn, and you guys remember that name, the oldest player at the time to accomplish the feat. He broke his own record a year later, got this one in 1960. It was the shortest time span between two no-hitters or between no-hitters involving the same two teams in Major League Baseball history. And while the Phillies don't even crack the top 5 in shortest time spans between getting no-hit by any team, that doesn't mean a Philly team is off the hook. The Philadelphia A's were no-hit twice over a 4-day period in 1923 by the Yankees on September 4th and the Red Sox on September 7th. So a little bit of an embarrassing feat across the Philadelphia sports baseball spectrum, if you ask me, of some baseball futility when it comes to no-hitters, as the Phillies on this day back in 60 were no-hit for the second time in 1960 and the second time in less than a month by the same team. So there you go. There's your day in Philadelphia sports history. They're all not good. I mean, I'm here to tell you that, and you should really know that by now. They are all not good, as the Phillies were no-hit twice in the same season on this night in 1960 and twice less than a month apart from each other. I can't make it up, man. Cannot make this stuff up. And there you have your day of Philadelphia sports history, which is brought to you by, there you go, man, the Gridiron Weekly Report, a show that will cover you, that'll have your NFL and NCAA football needs covered on one of our new shows that are premiering, I believe, Thursday night at 8 p.m. So Thursday night, 8 p.m., the Gridiron Weekly will be making It's a Wrap Sports debut. They will talk everything NFL and NCAA football. Make sure you're here, and we welcome them with open arms to the program, along with the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. Yeah, I know you guys might have remembered this back in the summer. We were close to closing that deal, but didn't work out. We're going to give it a shot again, and the Pittsburgh Sports Desk will be coming at you on Wednesday nights at 8, talking everything Pittsburgh sports. So we got the Steel City Steelers pre and post game, and now we're going Pittsburgh sports all the way. So yes, say what you want. I don't care. We got 12 shows now, as we're growing this thing a little bit. So welcome aboard the Pittsburgh Sports Desk and the Gridiron Weekly. Both two new shows that will make their debuts, one tomorrow night and then one on Thursday night at 8 p.m. So welcome to the network, fellas. We're glad to have you here. So 12 shows. Listen, we are 12 shows. We will be celebrating our first anniversary, our first birthday on the network here on October 7th. And I remember that day vividly. I remember it was me with the final word. And that was it. We had we were wrapping up the Philly season, so we were doing some Fightins finals. It was me and Sal G, and we were pretty much a two-man show or two-man network. And Sal's no longer with us as he stepped out, but since that year, we have grown expeditiously. We now have 12 shows, and we're getting bigger by the day, and I could not have done this without the help of a lot of people. And we'll get more definitely into that on October 7th when I do our anniversary, when I do this anniversary show. But welcome aboard to those two new shows, the Gridiron Weekly and the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, both premiering this week. Tomorrow at 8 will be the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, and Thursday at 8 will be the Gridiron Report, seen exclusively here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. As we are becoming, we're growing, and I love it. So awesome stuff. Yes, Matt, can you open the sport phone lines? Yeah, I can, Joe. Give me a few minutes, and I will. I will not forget. It's on the tip of my tongue. It will be done. But we're going to get into some talk tonight, and obviously, with the Fightins final that we did a few hours ago, talking about last night's show, I think maybe we can table the Phillies for just a second, and we'll get right into the other major sports team that's making news today on this Tuesday, and that's your Philadelphia Eagles, fresh off, feeling good about Was it 2017? What was the score of that game? Yeah, 2017 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. And off to a 2-0 start. They'll get ready for the Rams on Sunday at the Link. And, there's obviously a lot to jump into with the Eagles. And we're gonna hit a few of those topics. I want to throw out a couple topics. And if you guys want to throw them back at me, that's fine. If you don't want to throw them back at me and you want to come at me with some new topics, so be it. But the topics that I want to talk about, one is what the angst or the criticism being tossed at Kevin Padula, the new offensive coordinator, for having a bland offensive approach, not attacking down the field, doing everything sort of in between the tackles, lack of motion, just a lack of offensive creativity, and all the kind of ire that he's drawing here early on in this season. And I have to step back a little bit, and I have to remind everybody out there, and I think I put this up on Twitter and Facebook a couple of days ago, this is nothing new to this fan base when it comes to criticizing offensive coordinators. And I went at it a different way, and I am going to throw the angle out tonight because I think it's an interesting topic, and I think it's an interesting point to be talked about. 2023, Brian Johnson, internal promote, brand new offensive coordinator. He gets the team out to an 11-1 start. The offense is very reliant on the pass. Things fall apart, however you want, whatever the reasoning around what you think was the reason why we fell apart in 2023. We could debate that as well, but they fell apart. The offense became predictable. There was times in that season where defensive units were like literally once they saw the Eagles get into a certain formation, they were yelling out what the play was because the offense had become so predictable. And that's true. That did happen. And Brian Johnson was scapegoated for the problems of this team in 2023. So we fire him and we bring on Kellen Moore in 2024. Now, and we have notoriously short memories, well, especially when it comes to bad things, especially the Eagles. Kellen Moore comes in and basically tries to institute his playbook. There's a lot of rumblings and grumblings coming out of camp that Jalen Hurts was not picking up the playbook, was having problems deciphering the playbook, whatever. So they go into the season, first 4 games, they're a pass-heavy offensive unit, and they struggle. They struggle mightily. It prompts them to basically relook their entire offensive game approach during the bye week in between weeks 5 and 6. They come back out with a run-heavy attack featuring Saquon Barkley, who has himself a all-world type season, over 2,500 all-purpose yards. Comes close to setting the all-time or the single-season rushing record. They don't do that. They try to preserve him, and the Eagles go on to win a Super Bowl. So here we are in 2025. Saquon Barkley and the Eagles come out through the first 2 games of this season, and Saquon has been largely contained. Now, whether or not that's because of the play calls, of the fact that he's not running anything off the sides or edges, but he has been largely contained. And what I mean by contained, Saquon's getting his yards and he's getting his touches, but he's not getting the home run. He's not getting that 75-yard run up the middle, that dagger run that he would get a lot of times in 2024 to sort of put teams away. He's not getting any of that. Now, whether or not the Chiefs provided that blueprint into the Super Bowl because he was contained in that Super Bowl, Dallas contained him, and Kansas City contained him as well this past week. Whether or not that blueprint has been provided and Saquon's not going to rush forward or not going to accumulate over 2,500 all-purpose offensive yards this season, which I don't think anybody really should have went into the season thinking he was going to replicate that. But the fact remains, if you did, I don't know if I don't know what I could do for you, but he has been largely contained, and the offense has struggled. and they're blaming the new play caller. And the point that I want to bring out is that we keep changing offensive coordinators, but what stays the same has been the passing personnel over the last 3 seasons. Jalen Hurts and company have been the same passing personnel. Why do we go right to the offensive coordinator and blame him for the struggles of the offense? Why not? Why are we not looking at the personnel? Why are we not looking at your elite quarterback who doesn't seem to, I've been hearing a lot of excuses for Jalen Hurts this week, a lot of them. And they are also aimed at the coordinator and not, learning another system and learning another coordinator. Again, the same people that are giving that excuse are also the same people calling Jalen Hurts elite. And I say, does an elite quarterback really care who the offensive coordinator is? Why is that a problem? I don't remember Tom Brady ever yakking on about his offensive coordinators. And I don't remember ever hearing Joe Montana get critical of his offensive coordinator. And I don't think he would have cared. And I don't hear Pat Mahomes talking about changes of the offensive coordinator. I don't hear that. So why don't we step back and take a look at this thing from another point of view? Maybe it's not the offensive coordinator. Again, Kellen Moore switched up the offense from a pass-heavy attack to a run-heavy attack last year. And again, the Jalen Hurts apologists came out and said, well, it's because why wouldn't you use Saquon Barkley? Why wouldn't you go to Saquon Barkley? You have a bell cow running back. Why would not you use him? Or why wouldn't you use him? That'd be an easier way to say that. I disagree. To me, it's the personnel on the offense. Jalen Hurts has never been the most consistent passer in the world. He's not. You're not going to sell me on the fact that he's been the most consistent. He's flashy. He'll break off a 35-yard run. He's got the gifts, the athleticism. He can throws a decent deep ball, yes, but he's never been an architect of an offense, and he's never been the conductor of an offense. He's been the benefactor of an offense. He's been a benefactor of a different world of a running attack in 2024. And he's helped that offense out when the pressure was off of him because of the running game. He was been able to, exploit other areas of the field. I'll give you that. And that's what a good quarterback does. But we sit here when you want to blame the offensive coordinator, and that's fine if you want to blame him. But I'm telling you, look at this holistically. We blame Brian Johnson because it was pass heavy, it didn't work. You blame Kellen Moore 4 games into last season because it was pass heavy and it didn't work. They changed it to a run heavy attack. Now in 25, the run has been contained and the passing game has struggled. And you're blaming Kevin Padula. What about the offensive personnel of this football team? When are they going to start getting some blame for the inability to move the ball down the field? And I want that serious conversation to be had. I want people to listen to that and debate me on that. Am I off the base? Am I not, am I not, coming across? So I want a debate on that. And Ricky says, go Eagles. And he says, Matt, you are frozen. Can you see me now, Ricky? Am I okay now? Am I back? Somebody chime in and let me know that I'm still here. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. What is your point on the offensive coordinator and the blame he's receiving from the Eagles or from the Eagle fan base for being the reasons around the offensive struggles? I don't think it's him. I think it's the personnel. I think it's situations that we're putting Jalen Hurts in that he just is not going to be successful in. So the other point of this I want to talk about is the other side of the football, and that's the defense. Now, the defense has been surprisingly very good for me, to start the season. I thought this was the unit that was going to be the most inconsistent as they try to kind of figure out new personnel and how they were going to incorporate themselves into the overall scheme of the game. I've been very impressed with the way the defense has played. Yes, there's some issues with the cornerback. Yeah, there might be some issues with the pass rush. But for overall, I'm very happy with the way the defense has played over the course of the first 2 games. And I'm sure as they get more and more comfortable and more games, it'll sort of work itself out even better. So that's a good thing for the Eagles. That the defense. Now, am I going to call them an elite defense? I'm not going to call them an elite defense. We're 2 games into the season, but they're definitely surprising me. They're much better than I thought they were going to be. So kudos to the Eagle defense. The other aspect of all this is the Eagles' old friend. And again, I had to listen to this crap all offseason. It always goes back to Jalen Hurts with me. It really does. And I had to hear all the Jalen Hurts pomp and circumstance about they won the Super Bowl because of the quarterback. And honestly, I don't believe that. I think it was the defense that helped them win the Super Bowl. And one important aspect upon the defense, which was the turnovers. The Philadelphia Eagles had massive amounts of turnovers. They were able to create so many turnovers towards the end of last season, and really, I think assisted them in winning the Super Bowl. But heading into the season this year, I was concerned they were going to be able to continue to live on that, and they have been for the most part. They've been able to kind of take advantage of turnovers. Turnovers have helped them so far this season. They were benefactors of another big one this week against the Chiefs when they were able to get another turnover, a crucial turnover deep in Kansas City territory to kind of sort of seal the deal in that game. Because I think if Jason Kelce or Travis Kelce catches that football, we're talking a whole different thing. And but they were able to force a turnover there. Last week in week 1 against Dallas, the Miles Sanders turnover, huge in that game. I think that was also a big thing in that game. Was really a swaying point in that game. So the defense has benefited from the same thing that benefited them last year, and that's been the turnover. So that's very positive as well to see from the defense. But it always, I guess, goes back to your offense, and it goes back to what is wrong with the Eagle offense. Is it scheme? Is it a new coordinator? Is it personality? Is it personnel? And that's the first thing I definitely want to talk about. So if you guys have any opinions about that, please drop them in. What is wrong? I have no idea, Ricky. Am I frozen? Am I broadcasting? Can you is there anybody out there? Everything's working on this end, Rick. I hope you guys are able to hear me out there. But yeah, so the Eagles 2-0. And but are there a lot of 2023 sort of connotations going on? I've heard it all week. I've heard it yesterday. I heard it today. A win is a win is a win. And I heard that a lot in 2023. And does that give you a cause for concern? We go through this every year. Last year, first 4 games, not good. They struggled. They struggled to find a personality, identity. They changed the offense to run heavy, and it obviously worked out to a Super Bowl. And now here we are. Saquon Barkley, I guess this would be the other point to the offense. Is Saquon Barkley, and again, he's getting he rushed for it. I think it was 88 yards against Kansas City, and he had 60 yards against Dallas. I mean, I'm not saying those are great numbers. They're not. But he's contributing. But he's not hitting that home run. Is that a concern for you? Is that a part of the Eagle offense that seems to be missing since the Super Bowl? And does that have any concern? Because like it or not, and again, I want to apologize for the people's heads that are about to explode when I say this, Jalen Hurts was not the reason the offense was successful in 2024. It was Saquon Barkley. And the fact that I got to sit here and actually say that, because there's some people out there that believe it was Jalen Hurts who carried the team offensively last year, and I don't know where they get that from, but is Saquon Barkley and the fact that he's not hitting that home run through 2 games, is that concerning? And if he is contained and he's shut down, what is the next step for this offense? And can the offense carry them? I say they can't, and I've said it all along. So again, 2-0, but 2-0. How come Jake Elliott doesn't get credit? You're right, because he's a kicker, Joe. That's why he doesn't get credit. But Jake Elliott has been money since about what? midway through last year when he kind of worked out whatever was going. And listen, Jake Elliott, man, fantasy football, he's my kicker. Got me 11 points last week. Yeah, he's been amazing. And you're right. Why doesn't Jake Elliott get credit? Joe Hale is here to champion Jake Elliott and the cause of the kicker, because you're absolutely right. Where would the offense be right now? And I'm not being facetious about this. Where would the offense be without the contributions of the kicker, who's been booting them from like 65 yards out consistently throughout the season? So with that being said, does that concern you that we're actually having to talk about the kicker being part of the offense and the limited success that the offense has had? So a lot of things on the table as we get just 2 games into a season and everything's magnified. I don't think it's Kevin Padula. I honestly don't. I think that we've seen this before. We've come down this road before with this team when it comes to these coordinators. We've gone down this road with this team before when it comes to the offense not getting going. When do you start looking at the personnel and saying, well, maybe we just don't have enough personnel? And again, I know I'm going to get I will get some pushbacks telling me that, you're just a Jalen Hurts hater. I'm not. I never said he was a bad quarterback, but he's not what people think he is. He's certainly not what a lot of people that I know think he is. He's an average quarterback. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl on his own. He's not. He needs to be elevated by other players and other things around him. And I think that is truly what's happening right now, is that teams have figured out how to contain Saquon Barkley. And it has sent the Eagles somewhat in a panic mode. And again, how they get through this, maybe it's just a matter of time. Maybe it's just working out a new offensive wrinkle. But you're not going to, why has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith not gotten the ball nearly as much as they should be getting the ball? And they're going to blame, how can you blame the offensive coordinator for that? He's not the one out there executing the plays. So it's an angle of this that no one's looking at because no one wants to look at. Some are probably thinking of it, but they don't want to speak it. But I'm interested to hear your opinions on that. So let's shoot them out to me. But as for popular demand, I will open the phone lines. They're right. I will put the link in right now. So the phone lines will be opened. There it is right there. There's the link going out on all of our social media platforms. If you want to participate in the show via a caller, let's call it, go ahead and just click on that link. It'll take you into our StreamYard backstage to this show. I will put you on the air and you can talk to me about anything you want. We're talking Eagles, we're talking Phillies, and we can talk Flyers if you like, as training camp is near. And Danny Barrere spoke to the assembled media today to assure them that he feels the same pain that we do as Flyers fans. I don't know if I take solace in that, but whatever. But the topic on the table right now is the Eagles' offensive struggles. Is it right to blame the offensive coordinator when we've been down this road so many times when it comes to offensive coordinators? We blamed Brian Johnson. We blamed Kellen Moore. And now we're blaming yet another offensive coordinator for our offensive struggles. Is it fair to blame the offensive coordinator because they keep changing, but the personnel stay? I just want to know, where do you guys come out on that? And also the defense. Very impressed with them. The Eagles' friend for the last season has been the turnover. It has definitely helped them again this year, but there's been some good play from Jihad Campbell. There's been some good play from Makuba, some bad play from him as well. But there's been some good play from some of the younger players that we were expecting to fill in some pretty important shoes this year. And so far, the early returns are really, really good. So again, what is your take on all of this stuff? And anything else you want to bring up on the table here? Ricky says I'm frozen. Ricky, I'm looking at myself from a different angle, and I'm not freezing up right now. Maybe it's you, Ricky. Maybe it ain't me. Maybe it's Ricky. Right, Joe Hale? Is it Ricky?
Right, it's Ricky. I want your thoughts on the Phillies clinching last night.
Yeah.
Had an argument. They went and partied too hard. I told them they didn't. What's your thoughts on them getting a number 1 seed?
So are you saying based on what playing tonight, party too hard for what, for playing tonight, or
Yeah.
what do you mean by partying too hard?
By playing tonight.
Yeah, well, it's what, nothing right now. They don't look that good. I'm impressed with Tani's pitching, man. That's I'm amazed with that. But as far as your second question about the number 1 seed, we talked about it a little bit on the Fightins final. Obviously, home field advantage is what you play for, and yeah, is it huge? Absolutely. And this team, but here's the thing: we're not escaping the bye. We're going to get the bye, and I'm not interested in talking about the bye because the Dodgers won the World Series last year with the bye, so you can win with the bye. I'm a little concerned that home field advantage hasn't been the same over the last couple of playoff runs here in Philadelphia. Last year it wasn't the same, and then in 23, obviously we lost 6 and 7 at home to end the series against Arizona. So yeah, that didn't work out well. So it's kind of like I'm not feeling it right now, but obviously you want home field advantage and you want to have that going for you, especially say if you're playing a team against like the Dodgers from the other side of the country. So, but is it worth, because it's 11 games. We have 11 games to go. I mean, that's a lot of baseball.
Yes.
And would you try to use some of that time to rest your players? So I don't know. It's a lot of time.
I want to say what Rob Thompson just said. And he said that they're going to rest the outfielders this coming weekend in Arizona, which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, so what, he's going to rest all 3 at the same time and just,
Yeah.
I mean, did he say how he was going to do it?
He said he's going to give Marsh Friday. Castellanos hasn't played, but that's another.
He's been resting for a while.
Yes, so good to go. And Bader is going to get a day off, and so is Kepler.
Okay.
And yes, I have to argue with an Eagles topic. You're absolutely right. It's not the offensive coordinator. It's more on Jalen Hurts.
In what way?
The offense struggling.
So you're so how do you mean though? Is it
overrated?
So like my whole thing with this offensive coordinator, I'm so sick and tired of talking about blaming the offensive coordinator. We've done it now 3 years running. We're going to blame the offensive coordinator for the problems of the offense, but we keep changing them out, but we keep the same personnel here. So when do you start looking at the personnel versus the coordinator? That's the point I'm trying to make. And yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts benefited from the play of Saquon. You cannot sit here and tell me that the Eagles offense as a whole did not greatly benefit from the season Saquon Barkley had last year. Matter of fact, it was so good that I was very concerned that he was not going to replicate that. It's just no way he can.
He's going to replicate it, but he's going to get yards. You're missing a key topic in the Chiefs game. He almost had 100 yards rushing.
He did, but what has he been lacking that we've been expecting to see? And I know I was looking for it in Dallas. It's that end of the game after you run down the defense. It's that 70-yard up the middle run for the touchdown to seal the game. That has not happened since the Commanders championship game. Teams have stopped that. He's going to get his yards. I agree with you, but he's not daggering anybody right now.
It's the break plays for me or Barkley that he's not hitting on.
It's the what?
The breakout plays.
Exactly. It's those dagger plays that when that up the middle 75-yard run that there it is. There's the game. He's been lacking that since the NFC Championship game.
I see them beating the Rams, and I see them beating Tampa. I see the loss coming against Denver.
So, well, I'll talk on Thursday about my pick, but I'm liking the Eagles against the Rams. I'm not going to look any further out than that, but I think I'm liking the Eagles against the Rams. It's a home game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles did lose against the Rams.
About the Eagles defense against Puka.
Well, they're going to have to score more than 20 points in order to beat the Rams. I really believe that.
Okay.
So, anything else, Joe, before I let you go?
Danny Barriere.
Let's talk about Danny B.
Um, obvious point. Said no thank you to Carter Hart.
I did see that. Yeah, and obviously with the situation with him and I guess all those players, the NHL said they can come back on 1 December and play. Yeah, it's a PR nightmare. It really is, and I hate to say that, but it is.
I'm glad they traded that goalie to Columbus. He wasn't going to play because you're right. The guy at the top goalie is going to start in Lehigh.
Yep, Carson Bjornsson's going to be the goalie down there. And Fedor, listen, I wasn't. Listen, I'm glad they traded him. I'm surprised they were able to trade him. Like Fedotov, I mean, they got a 6th-round pick for this guy. I don't know. I wouldn't have traded a 6th-round pick for him.
You can go. So my buddy said, the Flyers training camp is free to attend, and you can hang out afterwards and get autographs for free.
And it starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, but then spring training. Preseason this weekend.
Yes. Coots was with the team in Lehigh.
He wasn't playing in the rookie showcase. Was he just there with them?
He was skating with them during warm-ups.
Okay. All right.
But he
being the captain, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's a technique. But all right, Joe. Anything else before I let you go, man?
Nope. Go Phillies.
Go Phillies. Go Eagles, Joe. Always a great time talking with you. Joe Hale, everybody. Let's bring him out of there. And let's throw on the other one. Ricky, I think it's you that's having the problems, man. I'm not frozen at all, man. What's going on tonight, Ricky? Yep. Ricky's rocking his Phillies gear. Ricky, have you gotten any 2025 NL East championship gear? Have you gotten any shirts or hats yet from the winning the division? Mm-hmm. You have. Okay, well that's good, Ricky. So Ricky, number 1 seed, or are you happy with maybe resting some players and just letting, who cares? Let's be the number 2 seed. But are you in for going for the number 1 overall seed in baseball? Mm-hmm. Or in the National League? Yeah, Ricky says, yeah. Is it and what home field advantage? Is that what you're looking for? Mm-hmm. Listen, Ricky, I get your point. I see where you're coming from, and I just talked to Joe about it. I understand it, and yes, home field advantage is huge. But there's some players in this team that might need some time off, and you have 11 games. That's a lot of baseball to play. There's a lot of things that can happen between now and 11 games as you're fighting for the number 1 overall seed. You could lose a player. A player could get hit in the hand, break a hand, break a foot. A lot of things can happen, and you could be looking at yourself like, we lost so-and-so because we were trying to get the number 1 overall seed. I don't know if that's worth it, Ricky. Mm-hmm. Ricky agrees with me. All right, man. All right, Ricky, deal. Go Phillies, man. We got a whole October of Phillies baseball, fighting finals to talk about, and I'm sure we'll have you back on again. And Ricky's rocking his shirt. All right, Ricky, deal. Ricky, thank you again for tuning in. Ricky and Joe Hale making their normal nightly appearance on the program. So Phillies have to win the series against the Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching right now. It's 1-0, by the way. Somebody just hit a home run. I don't know who it was, but it's 1-0 Dodgers. Somebody just jacked one for the Dodgers. It's 1-0. As Joe and everybody else is saying, maybe they'll hungover Phillies as they're fresh off their celebration for the NL East title last night. So to recap, let's pivot. We'll pivot on to the Phillies. Matter of fact, it's now 2-0. I'm sorry, 3-0. As the Dodgers just hit a 2-run homer. Yeah, I think it's Hernandez just jacked one. So ain't looking good. Maybe they are hungover. Steve Fuentes made the right decision not to wait up till 2:00 in the morning to talk about this. 2-0 or 3-0 Dodgers. Hernandez takes Sanchez deep. Second home run he's given up this inning, and it ain't looking good. Looking good post NL East celebration. But Eagles topic tonight on the table, and we're going to pivot to the Phillies here. But I don't think Kevin Padula should be blamed for the Eagles' offensive struggles. I think it's personnel. You had the same issues. We've had the same offensive coordinator conversation over the span of 3 straight years now. And the one constant through all that has been the offensive personnel. And to me, it's the personnel. And majorly because of Saquon Barkley's inability to deliver that home run hit, that hit that just puts a team away, has not happened since the NFC Championship game. And that's a big part of this offense that is missing. Saquon will get his 88 yards, nothing to shake a stick at. It was close to 100. But what he did not have was that big game-breaking run that we've become so accustomed to. And if Saquon is contained, and if defenses have figured out a way to mitigate the damage caused by Saquon Barkley, can Jalen Hurts in the passing game elevate their play and carry this offense? Because we've seen it in the past that they failed to do that. We saw Kellen Moore switch the offense to a run-heavy attack because Jalen Hurts and the rest of the offense could not elevate their game. We saw it in 2023 when they were a strictly pass-happy attack. The season unraveled as things, because there was only so much you could do with Jalen Hurts under center. Teams were starting to understand the plays. What is the future for the Philadelphia Eagle offense? Is it Kevin Padula or is it the offensive personnel? And I say it's the personnel. So let's go on to the Phillies. Steve, is Steve going to be on? He's going on tomorrow afternoon. So for those of you just joining in, the Fighting's final will not be seen tonight after the Phillies game. It will be seen tomorrow afternoon around 3 p.m. As I've started the trend. It's my fault. I was supposed to have the final last night. Didn't do it till 7 o'clock tonight. Steve's going to take the show tomorrow at 3. But tomorrow night, I have the final. So I will be on when it's supposed to be on, right after Phillies Dodgers on Wednesday night. And then, of course, no baseball on Thursday. But speaking of the Phillies, it is 3-0 right now, as in bottom of the second. Shohei's at bat against Sanchez. Shohei Ohtani pitching tonight against the Phillies. God, I wish we had him, man. God, I think he's so good. All right. 2-time NL East champs. 11 games left to go in the season. What are they? Game and a half out of the number 1 overall seed in the National League. Where do you stand on the Phillies' quest to be the number 1 overall? I say the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You got 11 games. A lot of things can happen to this baseball team in 11 games if you push the pedal to the metal in an attempt to get the number 1 overall seed. When you have the opportunity to take number 2, you still get the bye. You still get opportunity to kind of heal. And you know what? Throw the dice. Let's see, because you're not going to see the number 1 overall unless it's in the NLCS anyway. Maybe they get knocked off in the first round. Maybe you still have the opportunity for home field advantage. I'm not all in on the number 1 overall seed. I say you sort of kind of take your foot off the gas. So is Steve doing live? Steve is doing the Fighting's final tomorrow. So the Fighting's final will not be seen tonight. The Phillies postgame show will not be seen tonight. It'll be seen tomorrow at 3 p.m. I am doing the Fighting's final tomorrow night. There is no final word tomorrow night. There will be no final word tomorrow night. I will be doing post-game duties, so there'll be no final word tomorrow night. But we do have a bunch of shows tomorrow for you to be interested in. Perfect segue, Ricky. Thank you. This is our title or our schedule for tomorrow, the 17th of September, Wednesday at 7 o'clock is the Props, Locks, and Parlay. Mike Lauro giving you his picks for entertainment purposes only in the world of college football. And then Steve, I will be back for post-game duties tomorrow night. But don't forget, Steve Fuentes is coming at you tomorrow afternoon at 3 with tonight's post-game. And then also tomorrow at 8 o'clock, debuting on the network, you got the Pittsburgh Sports Desk making its first appearance here on It's a Wrap Sports. They will be here tomorrow at Wednesday at 8, giving you their takes on everything Pittsburgh sports. So enjoy that. And then tomorrow on Thursday night at 8, our second news show, the Gridiron Weekly Show, breaking down the NFL and NCAA football, will make its debut on Thursday night at 8 p.m. on the network. So please be on the lookout for all those great things coming your way as we have grown to now 12 shows in less than 1 year. I'm super happy about that, super excited about that. Thank you to everyone that made that happen. I appreciate it. As we are approaching 1 year of life here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, October 7th, we will celebrate our first year of existence. And I could not be happier from where we've come from. So thank you all, and please continue to support us. Like, share, and subscribe. I don't really pander for that stuff. Yeah, do I want the subscriptions on YouTube? Absolutely. Do I want the algorithms to grow? Absolutely. But I'm not going to sit here and pander it. I'm not going to beg you to do it. I would like for you to do it, but I'm just not going to be that. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not, it's a very vain thing to ask for, ooh, look at me, but we need it to keep going, and we need it to get bigger. So yeah, please help us out. Joe's asking, is the Attacking Union going to be on Thursday? Yeah, the Union show is still happening at 9. They're at 9 on Thursday. So you guys got to start looking at these schedules. All right. The Union's always been at 9. The Gridiron Weekly Report thing will be on at 8. So we're stacking up the shows now. We're starting to get the hours filled up. So you got to look at the schedules. I put them out every week. I don't do it for my health. I do it for you. I do everything for you. And, oh, by the way, speaking of for you, I'd like to wish my oldest daughter, Kylie, a happy birthday today, babe. She is 20 years old today. I am the father of a 20-year-old woman. She's celebrating her 20th birthday today. Happy birthday, babe. I hope you had a great day. And yes, I have a 20-year-old daughter. And I have 2 17-year-old daughters as well, who will be 18. They're twins. They'll be 18 in May, and they'll graduate in high school this year. So my life is passing me by, pretty quickly. So, but happy birthday, Kylie. Happy 20th. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for wishing her a happy birthday. She's in Ohio, and I'll be seeing her soon. So cannot wait. All right. So we are at where are we at? The 48-minute mark. Phillies has not really been much of a topic, but we've been talking Eagles mostly tonight. Eagles 2-0. Phillies are your NL East champions. Mike Lauro asked me a question earlier tonight on the Fighting's Final, asking me, does Harrison Bader make the post? Oh, does Harrison Bader stay in your postseason lineup? He'll make the roster, but does he stay in your lineup? And I have an interesting theory to that. Do you run Nick Castellanos off the bench? Has he worked his way to that at this point? I don't think there's anybody left in this town that's supporting him anymore in terms of not say supporting, but believes in him anymore to be that type of player that he was brought here to be. I think that ship has sailed. Do you go and actually bench Nick Castellanos in the playoffs and run an outfield with Bader, Marsh, and Kepler? Do you use these next 11 games to sort of test that out? Is having Nick Castellanos coming off the bench a bad thing? Is that an extra bat off that bench? Is it prevent a Jake Cave situation from occurring at any time during the playoffs when you have a potential of Nick Castellanos coming off the bench? Does Nick Castellanos completely rebel against that idea and sort of check out on that? I don't think there's many people out here that believe Castellanos will be a Philly after 2025. I think that's become also a pretty foregone conclusion that we're going to move on from Castellanos at the end of the season. But does Rob Thompson have the stones to bench a player that's making about $20 million a year in the postseason and use him off the bench and try to sort of float that out there as the best thing for the team? And I think that's going to be one of my really important storylines that I watch as these playoffs develop. Maybe he doesn't get benched right off the bat. Maybe they play him in a game, but does Rob try to use analytics as a way to justify not playing Nick Castellanos? And how do you think about that? I mean, would Nick be better served? I mean, he's not played well. He's had a terrible season. He's largely been a bust since he's been here. We've still got another year of that contract left. He's had some issues dealing with Thompson this season. There's been a lot of prima donna issues with him. Does he deserve to start in the playoffs? And Bader has busted his ass. Bader has been one of the better bright spots of this team, and I got to give Dombrowski credit for that because it was a good move at the trade deadline. And Kepler has turned his season around, and Marsh has turned his season. These three players are playing better than Nick Castellanos. And do you bench them? Or do you play the money? So it's one of the more interesting storylines as we head down the stretch of the playoffs. Nick goes to the bench in the playoffs. There, Joe Hale says he goes to the bench. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong, Joe. But do they have the stones to do that? Thoughts on this? You asked that question earlier, and I totally missed it. But I'm okay with it because of Otto Kemp. I ain't gonna lie to you. I think Otto Kemp's a better version of Armando Sosa. Yes, Armando might be a better defensive version, and you can have him there. But I'm okay with the play of Otto Kemp. Honestly, I don't care. As long as Kemp continues to play this way, and they obviously keep Kemp on the postseason roster. Sosa's a dime a dozen type of player. He's a utility guy. He's had a very good season, but if you're going to lose him, I'm okay with Kemp, honestly. And I want to see Kemp make this roster. And I don't think that Sosa would be the casualty if Kemp made it. I think Wilson would be, but I'm okay. I'm totally okay with that. I'm not losing any sleep over the Armando Sosa injury. Ricky says he'll see me tomorrow night on live. Don't forget, Ricky, I am on the Fightins final tomorrow night after the Phillies game. So not this show. I won't be on till after the Phillies game around midnight tomorrow. Can't wait. So remember that, Ricky. Say it with me once, Ricky. I will not be on this show. I will be on the Fightins final after the Phillies game. But we're not doing the of the night segment. Let's get in to my favorite part of the show as we're getting to the end here. You know what that is. Yeah, MattyB's card review, the part of the program where we sit back and we talk about one of my many, many sports cards in my collection that sits at about over 10,000 cards. Over 10,000. I got over 4,000 cards that have value, and I got about another 6,000 to 7,000 cards that are just part of the collection. So we take a card out of the collection and we just have some fun talking about it. We've been doing it since the show debuted. It was one of the segments that I launched very early on, and I really enjoy doing it. Tonight, we're staying in baseball. We spend a lot of time in baseball, but we're staying in baseball tonight, and we're going back to the wax era. This is a wax era baseball card, right? This is a 1992 card. It's a card from the 1992 season. It's a wax card, but it's one of the first cards to incorporate digital prints and become sort of the testing grounds for what baseball cards would become later on into the 21st century. And it's a card of a player who I thought was a hell of a player when he played. I love this guy. Really was a big fan of his. One of the more unheralded members of those Pittsburgh Pirate teams of the early 90s that, had so much success, just barely not making it. But definitely a player that we do a Flyers post game after every show or after every game, Ricky. You got to wait for the season to start. But we're going to talk about a player that I thought doesn't get really as much respect as he should for his contributions to those Pittsburgh Pirate teams. That's the versatile, spark-pluggy Andy Van Slyke, and this is his 1992 Top Stadium Club card. Now, why I like this card, and again, I've always liked the player. I really have. Very above average. He was a very good player, both for St. Louis and for Pittsburgh. And look at this card. All right. I'm all about the action cards when it comes to sports cards. You don't see too many of them. You get a little bit more of them today, but you rarely, really get a card like this. This has got everything that's great about baseball right here. It's got a play at third base. You got the third base coach kneeling in the background. You got Tim Wallach of the Montreal Expos with those old powder blue Expo uniforms and you know, one of the greatest uniforms in baseball history. And you got Andy Van Slyke out, you know, stretched out, attempting a head first slide into third base without his helmet on at Three River Stadium. I mean, it don't get much more early 90s, late 80s than this baseball card right here, folks. But it's also incorporating, as I mentioned, a look. This was a new look for baseball cards in 1992. This was them starting to sort of transform from the wax pack cards of the 80s and the 70s, and they were starting to sort of turn a corner with baseball card production with this season. And this is from Stadium. This is obviously Topps, the Topps Stadium Club cards. We talked about Stadium not too long ago about its sort of its lineage and where it came from. But this was sort of like a pioneer card from the old to the new. It's got a full front of the actual baseball card, no border on this thing at all. The back is very colorful. It's got an analytic chart of his favorite pitches and where he swung at. It's also got a throwback card from an earlier part of his career and his stat line as well in the back. This card is utterly worthless. It's about $2, you know, but again, it's not all about the money for me. It's about intrinsic value, nostalgic value. And this card has a lot of nostalgic value for me. And I think it was a very important card in the evolution of baseball cards into the 90s and into the 21st century. So there you have it. The 1992 Stadium Club, Topps Stadium Club, Andy Van Slyke card, action card, I guess you would call it, as he's, you know, sliding there head first in the third base. And here it is in its physical form. I told you the back was pretty colorful too. This is the back of the card. It's got his old, I think that's an 89 or maybe an 88 card when he was with the Cardinals. And there's this little analytical stat line there in the back. Just a really cool card. And all the cards from 92 were sort of in the same vein as this. So the 92 Stadium Club, Topps Stadium Club cards, pretty cool. So there you have it. Matty B's card review of the night, the 1992 Andy Van Slyke. And that is going to take me to an end of another glorious show on the network. We covered everything from, well, mainly the Eagles. And I don't think it's fair to blame the offensive coordinator, especially after you have blamed the last two offensive coordinators on the offensive struggles. Why don't we look at the personnel and start projecting inwards instead of outwards? Phillies are your 2025 NL East champions ×2. Do they put the pedal to the metal and push for that number 1 overall seed, or do they sit back, use this time as productively as you can, and try to just be as healthy as you can going into the playoffs? Your day in Philadelphia sports history and your card review, all of that was taken care of tonight. And of course, the debut, or the incoming debut, of 2 new shows on the network: the Gridiron Weekly Report, breaking everything NFL and NCAA down, which will be on Thursdays at 8, and the Pittsburgh Sports Desk program that will make its debut tomorrow night at 8 and every Wednesday at 8 after that. So a lot of stuff going on the network. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, help us grow. We've grown a ton over the past year, not even a year. I still got 2 more weeks before we turn a year old. Actually, almost 3 weeks before we turn a year old. So I cannot be more happy where we've come from. So thank you very much. I hope you guys have a great night. I will see you tomorrow night or Thursday morning, however you want to break that down, for the Titans final, as the Phillies will wrap up the series against the Dodgers. And I cannot wait to do that at 1 a.m. So we'll talk again tomorrow. Don't forget, there is no Titans final after this game. The Titans final for this game, this Phillies game, will be seen tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. So check Steve Fuentes out then. We'll talk again real soon. The next final word will be Thursday night. So make sure you're there for that. So we'll talk later. You guys have a good night.